as the said.
Hello, hello. Thanks for having us, Precious. Good to see you all, gentlemen.
Hello, hello.
I'm glad you guys are here. We'll jump down to James.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? What's up? What's up? We're doing good over here. Kind of been a little bit busy with it, but I was able to make it sound good. So
Thank you so much. I appreciate you, sir. Thank you so much for being here. Arpane, how are you tonight?
Fine, hanging in there. I'm glad I was able to make it. I thought it was a little late, but I think it was right on time. I was on another stream, so here I am.
I was
Marathon.
I was late with sending you the link, okay? I do that at times. I
No, it's
apologize.
right on
I
time, though.
apologize.
Right on time. Right on time.
I'm glad you're here. Thank you so much for making it. And Mr. Hank, how are you this evening, sir?
I'm good, ma'am. I'm good. I'm good. I'm glad to be here. Just like we always say on Wednesday prayer meeting service. Glad to be here.
Okay, be in the number. All right, you better be in the number. Well, I appreciate you guys for being here, even those who are in the chat. Before we get started, I do want to let everyone know that tonight is sponsored by JE creativehosting.com. So if you guys need a website, definitely go over there and let them host your website. It's a code of HCM22 for a special discount. So I appreciate them over there for hosting my website, which is therealprecious.com. So you guys check that out when you get a chance. But I do want to highlight some of these comments in the chat because I do appreciate you guys for being here as well. Tarika says, evening, everyone. Please hit the like button as you come in. Thank you so much, Tarika, for being here and moderating. Quincy, good evening, good people. I think that's a staple. Good evening, good people. Bless up, P. Thank you so much for being here. Grooming and reviews. Hey, guys. Hey, thank you so much for being here. Mr. Cisa is in the chat. Okay. The RBN says hello. Hola. Hola. Mr. He said is also in the chat showing love to the fellow chat members. Quincy's here. All right, y'all. Angel Hall, thank you so much for being here. All right. So last week, we went over love and cherish, right? We were talking to the men. Because I think that in the order of things and what I believe, men are called to love their wives and women are called to respect their husbands. So last week we talked about to love and cherish. Tonight we're talking about from this day forward until death do us part. Um I don't want to assume, but I am going to, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong. But do you believe marriage is forever? Anyone
Well,
can jump
of
in.
course, yes. I know I do.
Okay.
It's forever as long as you live, right?
Mm-hmm.
If,
that's
whatever
what it
that
was
means.
intended for. So, but
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
see how how today we like to change things up and we want to do what we want to do rather than what we're supposed to do.
Okay.
I think it's possible, yet you have to be able to find the right one that also wants that as a card carrying member of one that tried and failed.
We appreciate your perspective. Thank you so much. Because I see growth in you, King. But we're gonna do a timeline. That's gonna be for later on. That's gonna be for later on. Okay. Okay. I see growth in you, King. All right. Hank, what about you? Do you think marriage is forever?
I believe it can be.
Okay. All righty. Did the said so?
Yes, we agree. I do. I believe personally. I'm not going to speak for him that it solidifies forever, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But the trials and tribulations of life may not make that happen. But I absolutely went into it for forever. So hopefully till death do us part.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree. I would say the intentions is absolutely for forever. Absolutely.
All right. So everyone is pretty much on the same page here. So my next question would be, why is it almost about 70% of women file for divorce? Why do you believe that? And I know we talk about this on platforms and we hear the YouTube talk and things like that, but it's the real precious. We want to keep it real. Okay. In today's climate, even from when you were growing up, seeing relationships till now, why do you think that there is about a 70% tile of women filing for divorce?
Y'all want me to go first?
Go ahead, James.
So I would say it's kind of like when you get a job, right? And your employee or your employer, I'm sorry, doesn't train you. It's going to be hard for you to stick with that job because you don't have the proper tools, you don't have the proper things in order for you to succeed in that job. So I think a lot of people, men and women, are not getting taught how to conduct themselves in a marriage. A lot of them haven't seen it, or a lot of them don't want to put the work in or go get the information. You know what I mean? Like you see how we've been talking about this for all these weeks, and how many people have been like trying to tune in and actually listen to married couples or listen to people that was married before. Hey, I made this mistake. Don't do this. Don't do this. And you can learn from us. Hey, this is what we're doing over here. So a lot of people are not getting trained properly because their mom telling them, hey, go get the bag. Their dad said, hey, go sleep with as many women as you can. You know, and now we just out here just doing whatever we want to do. And then now once you get an idea of what you think a marriage is supposed to be, you get with somebody. And then now you just screw that person over. And then now you got one person going to trauma or both. And now you're hurt self going out there and hurting other people. You know, so we just kind of got a ever-ending cycle until you kind of get yourself together and say, hey, I'm not going to be doing this or not going to do this. Hey, let me go get the training. And then now I can be a better wife or a better husband. I remember my wife, she started a school called Wife's Training, you know what I mean? Like it's like 3-4 years ago. And women was mad at her because it was called training. That's how low we at right now and stuff. Because she was like, "What's wrong with that?" It's like, don't when you go to work you get trained. So we such at a low state right now that the words are triggering to people.
I think that with the ladies being the one that's filing for 70%, as a guy, I don't hear other guys wondering or thinking that there's something better out there, or man, like I don't feel right about this. There has to be something different. Yet, when I hear ladies that have been married and divorced, one of the common things that I've heard is they felt like they deserved better or that they deserved more. And I'm curious, just me personally, why I hear that often from ladies feeling as though they deserve more. I can't think of a time myself where I've ever heard a guy say that. So that's why I think that there's a 70% clip in women filing over men.
I don't think women, from the way that I see it, I don't think that women think that they deserve more. I don't think that women trust the choices that they made. And so because they don't trust the choice that they made, they're going to say, oh, well, I deserve better than this. I deserve more. When it was like, no, your ass shouldn't have been in that situation in the first place. And now you think you deserve more because you endured some things. But maybe you needed to do that. Maybe I think that women, and just like men, need to fall hard on certain things. And for a lot of women, it comes in with relationships, because James has said something. He says, you go in with this certain mindset of what marriage is. And if you don't see it, then what exactly are you thinking going in? Are you living together with somebody and then y'all just never move out from one another and y'all just continue to pay bills? Are you thinking, okay, are you ignoring red flags going into it and then you're still doing it because you're fearful of what other people are going to say? Like, my thing is, what is the mindset in certain women's brain when they are saying, oh, well, I deserve better? For some women, maybe they may deserve better, but I think they don't trust the choice that they made and the man that they decided to be with. Ultimately, that's what I think.
I wouldn't disagree with that. The only thing I would sprinkle on top of that is I think marriage is very subjective. Like, the elder alluded to in the clip before, it's very fleeting. It's subjective to, we can make our own vows and everybody's marriage is different. And again, we all know as grownups that that's that's true to a degree. We're all individuals and we're all different. So of course our marriages are going to be different, but honor, duty, responsibility,
Mhm.
those things are not. Those things are what they talked about at the service. So these younger people, they kind of have this rocket ship mindset of marriage that it only goes up. And marriage is a roller coaster. You got downs with the ups, and they really don't want to grasp in their mind around the reality that is, you know, what they call struggle love and all of the other negative conversations that they have for, you know, two people building together, two people getting to know each other and come up together and grow together and learn together and then build a union that's worth, you know, admiring and recognizing. So I just think it's very subjective, very transactional. And with that, the terms and the goalpost is always going to continue to move. So that's why one day you can wake up and don't want to be a part of it anymore.
Mhm.
Well,
RP?
yeah, I have a couple things. One, I think there's a fear of missing out. I think social media exaggerates that for a lot of women. But it's not a secret that women are more social media dependent than men are, even though a lot of men are on social media. But women like the attention because they get it.
Mhm.
Um, and what's on social media is really like opening a door to negativity for the most part. I mean, there's positive things on there, but when we talk about dating and showing the best sides of your life, man, you see these women out there, you know, they're smiling and they're having all this kind of fun, and you got your fat husband, you know, back there, you know, with his stinky feet and shit, you know.
Oh gosh.
And so you say, wait a minute. Wait a minute, you know, and you forget all the good things he's done for you. They made his feet stink. You know, all you got to do is kind of wash them off. But I'm just exaggerating. That's one. The other thing is, I think there's a people. I think, and this is what plagues women more than men, and this is why there's a difference. I think women somehow put happiness over obligation
Mm.
in some respects, right? There could be a tendency. Now, this is not a woman problem, but happiness seems to be more important to women than men. Right? At some point, when you're obligated as a man to your marriage, you kind of got to do stuff whether you're happy about the shit or not. You know,
Right. Right.
you know, pretty much. And so that's one. The other one, and I don't know what the right word is. I think there's a misappreciation for what we're doing now, the vows,
Mhm.
right? And there's a secular component to when people do the vows, and then there's a religious component.
Right.
Because you can go to the justice of the peace and say the vows to the guy, the clerk who's marrying you, and that means one thing in the secular world, but in the non-secular world, in front of God and everybody, those vows should take on a whole different meaning, even though they're the same words. Because you're not only just saying it to you. If you're a real Christian or Muslim or whatever it is, whatever those vows are, you telling God, this is what I'm doing. And when you say till death do us part, that's what you mean. Because if I was in a mafia and I got put in the La Costa Nostra, I ain't leaving, right? Unless I'm willing to die.
Right.
And there's a lot of gangs like that. So if that's good enough for those dudes, what does that mean to God if you really believe? So,
You bring up a good point.
so I just think that, I don't want to even just put it this on the women, right? Because I think it's still part of the vetting process. If
Mhm.
a man is vetting his woman properly, now there's always risk, but I think half of the divorce rate we have is because half of those marriages shouldn't have happened in the first place.
Right.
That's what I think. I use half. It could be some other percentage, but a lot of those marriages should have never happened in the first place. And
Right.
I'll end it there.
You made a good point about you have the circular way and then you have this spiritual way. And I always say that both men and women need to submit to a higher power.
Yeah.
Because if you are going off of your own merit and trusting your own flesh, mind, heart, and it's like you can be led astray. Point blank, you can be led astray. So if the rate is that high, that goes to show you that women aren't really submitting to a higher power if you're willing, if you're not trusting
Mhm.
in your decision And if your decision is not rooted in that higher power, then you are going to fail yourself. So I
Good
just wanted
chance.
to point that out.
I wanted to add one thing too. I was watching a video of this lady. She was talking about the reason why she divorced her husband. So he was getting so the husband was on the phone, and this video, I'm never gonna forget this video. This video pissed me off, but her husband was on the phone handling some business or something, what he was doing. So she grabbed both of the bags and she was getting the baby out the car, and one of the kids ran under her and fell. And then she paused the video. She said, "This is why I divorced my husband." And I was just like, "What?" Like, so you mean so because he's handling business on the phone or doing something, right? You mean to tell me you're going to divorce him because you was carrying out a bag? You could have left the bags in the car, right? So she basically divorced her husband to do the exact same thing that she's going to do without him, doing everything by herself. So I'm just like, you're not. When you divorce or something, like, you want to come up in a situation, you don't want to be in the same or under. So now you're gonna have less money and you're gonna have less help in your household because he was just handling one. It could have been a business call, it could be anything that was going on. But she was like, "I'm shaking right now." I was just like, so a lot of people they're just not ready mentally to be in a relationship, and they got to stay away from it because she has kids with this man. So
Right.
now the kid's going to grow up in a broken family because he didn't want to help her with the bags.
So petty. Hank, why do you think the divorce rate is around 70%, and why women are so quick to file for divorce?
Man, I don't think they want to put their work in. I think it was they felt like they accomplished something because they walked down the aisle. They said I do. They got the proposal. I think that was all they was looking for. They wasn't ready for the day after the honeymoon. They wasn't ready for that. They wasn't ready for them up and downs and times where we don't agree. We bump heads and we get into an argument and now you can't leave and go to your place or I go to my place or whatever the case may be. We stuck here. We invested. It's not as easy to walk away as it was before. So now we have to figure something out. And now you have the conversation and the person may not be willing to give. Somebody may not be willing to bend the knee. I'll take the higher road because they want to get their point across, or they just want to feel like they can just dominate the conversation and not allow the other person to have the opportunity to express themselves. So I think that's the reason why they just not ready to put that work in. They not ready to go to that lunch pail every day and do what they got to do to make this thing to be successful. They're not willing to tell certain individuals in our circle no, because you got a better plan, a higher plan, or more important pressing things to do with your time or your money or your energy or whatever the case may be, and it can't be spent hanging out with you guys all the time. Our family wants to be overly involved in the situation, and so you've never told them no before. All of a sudden you have to, because that man in your house is requesting your mother-in-law not come over every goddamn week.
Okay.
Or you play child care services with your nieces and your nephews all the time, or you always making yourself available for everybody else but that most important person in your house, and that's the man you lay beside. Those are factors a lot of men may have to deal with, may go through, or individuals may have to deal with or go through, and they not wanting to make those sacrifices like they want, because they hear the vows but they don't understand them. So this is my reason.
Pretty good reasoning. That was like a so women are filing for divorce, and one thing that you hear a lot of men say is that Well, after we got married, she changed, right? So, what are the things that change? What are more than likely, what are the things that you guys see that change? The actual Kingsman, you ain't want you ain't gonna share? No? He said my mouth's closed on this one.
I could be on this all night. So
So you gonna laugh, Sheree.
no.
Yeah.
You can't give us the Cliff Note version?
I don't know. I don't know how to do that.
Oh, well, thank you for being honest.
I mean, you know what?
Okay.
Yeah, I'll be real quick. I think, I never said that myself, right? I mean, life has changed in some way, shape, form, or fashion. I think men allow their women to change too often, and then they
Mm,
blame it on her. I think
mm,
I think there's something you established to get the woman to marry you, and some things you did, and some ways you behaved, and some ways you talked. And you got to realize that there's some of that stuff you need to continue
mhm.
forever. And I
Wow.
think when I say forever, for as long as you marry, I mean not
I
everything.
mean, till death do y'all part. You
Yeah, so
right,
there's
right?
some things you got to continue to do, and I think some men lose sight of that, right?
Mm,
Just like women lose sight of it. But I think if your woman is yours and you lead, and she already entrusted you to lead and she trusts you, I think those are the cues that you got to keep giving her. That you know what, things are still the same. You got a baby, but things are still the same, but they're different because we have a baby. But I still know the spots I need to touch to take you from where you are to where I need you to be for a certain situation. Now, I can't say I was perfect at that, but there's certain things that I did with my wife to make sure that we're still in that kind of location, right? And, certain things, certain conversations. They don't have to all be sexual. I mean, like for example, when the babies were
no,
born,
that's grown
some
man
of the
talk.
stuff about I'm sorry, some of the stuff about, these are my kids and these are my priorities and all that kind of stuff. I never let that language go.
Mhm,
I always used to correct my wife and say, well, one, let me stop you right there. These are our kids.
mhm,
And the kids are not your priority. Our marriages. That's your priority. And so and if we keep that together, the kids get taken care of. Now, she can go on and say, I hear him say that, but they're still the kids. But that's fine as long as she gets my understanding. And that's how we raise our kids. And that's why now that we're kind of empty nesters, we still like hanging out with each other because we didn't lose sight that we're together.
mhm.
And we haven't lost sight of that. So I mean that's one element of it. Sexually there's another element of it. And there's some other elements, but I wasn't perfect, but I kind of understand that men sometimes drift away from the things that kept her in a certain location. And of course, you change a little bit yourself. But if you ever stop wanting her to be the kind of woman you want, you got to continue to do some of the things that got you there. I think
Mhm.
that's just my thought. That's just my thought.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. I think it's simple, but doesn't get grasped till a later age because when you realize you're not continuing to do the same things, you realize that you continue to lose, so you see the outcome of that. So I guess men have to work on that end while women have to work on another end. But what are some of the things that women stop doing though that men say, "Hey, my wife changed," or "She's not doing this anymore." Um, what are some of
I
those
didn't
things?
answer the question. All right. Maybe,
No, no,
well,
no.
of
You were.
course, the biggest one is sex, of course, right?
Mm.
That's one. That's probably the biggest one men complain about. Maybe there's other things, but
Damn.
again, like I said, I think that falls under the category of what I said.
Are there warnings before just cutting off sex?
Yeah, yeah. There's warnings, there's natural warnings, and there's other things. And not that she's. I mean, first of all, I think sometimes after a woman has babies, they say they turn off, but I think men also allow them to, right? I think that, we allow them to go down a path, and
Mm,
that's one of them. And then there's other ones. For me, like I said, I didn't always have this. I mean, some of it's learned under fire,
mhm.
but there's some things I still miss. But my wife is kind of pretty much, if I had a spectrum, and she was like, like in the middle here, right? Maybe it's a little, it's maybe it's not 100%, but I try to make sure that she's still like this, somewhere in the middle there. I'm
Mhm.
not perfect, but and I think she does. I mean, I actually think she still likes me. Let me put it to you that way.
That's
I
important.
actually
That's
think she
very
still
important.
likes me. So she does the things. I mean, she caters to my wife. I mean, it's ridiculous, man, how she caters to me. Shit, and I hate saying it. I hate kind of saying it in public, man. She just like, because it could be a
Why?
flex. Because she could be flexing, She might, she could be. I'm only joking. So let me just catch. This ain't gonna cost me nothing. So as long as this guy keeps doing stuff, let me make sure the insurance policy is in the right spot too. Man, so I don't know, man. She's cool, man. That's all I can say. So I'm in a good space. We're in a good space for whatever it is.
That's good. That's good.
So I may be not a good person, and we need to have King answer this question, maybe.
Come on, King. Bring the heat. Bring the heat. Bring the heat. What they be doing? What they be doing?
He's still saying no. He's saying no. That's
King is a smart man. I'll jump on it. Everything changes, fellas. Body changes, attitude changes, mannerisms changes, idiosyncrasies change, taste buds change. It all changes, and I think that's where the consciousness comes in. If you love her enough, if you care about her enough, you're going to be conscious to pay attention to the subtle changes, to the big changes, to be ready to again ride this roller coaster. It's not always going to be ups. So, I've seen this woman over 26 years coming up go through a lot of changes emotionally, just maturity, vocabulary, temperance, just so many different things from looking at a 20-year-old girl when I first met her to now almost a 50-year-old seasoned woman, and all of the things that come along with that. Menopause, people putting in the chat, these things change, sex changes, intimacy changes, all of these things, but are you prepared? And again, this is what I think, that self-preservation is the first rule of nature. I think young people bulletproof themselves from this. It's not easy to walk 20-something years and then maybe go another 20-something years. And if one of us leaves, we got to continue the legacy, continue the agenda, continue the family after one goes. So I don't know if they're prepared with that maturity, with that foresight, with that, wherewithal to get that done. So, maybe they are bulletproofing themselves, but, I think this is one of the best decisions that I made, and it all changes. So be ready for them. Hopefully you can, be prepared to do that.
So I kind of want to stay right there really quick. You said that, there's going to be changes. Nothing changes unless nothing changes. Nothing changes unless something changes. I'm going to show a clip which I showed last week with TD Jakes, and he was speaking to the men. And this week he's going to be speaking to the women, but we're going to listen to the men and get the full clip into the women's, what he says to the women. In this particular message that he was given, he was talking about circumcision. And all the men, everybody should know what that is, but the men specifically know what that is. And what it is a cutting, a ripping, a tearing away of, I don't know, I guess it was ungodly, it was sinful, but it was something that you had to get rid of, right? The same way that happens for men. Now that happens for a man one time. For women have cycles. We know this, right? Some women stop it, some women do stop having it. But what it is, a shedding. We're actually getting rid of something as well. But it's cyclical. So whereas a man does it once, I think Hank was talking about how men, y'all just don't even think about it. Y'all just do. You get it done because that's what you're told to do, and that's how you look at it. And just like with a circumcision, you get it done once, you cry, you do what you need to do, but you're gonna get done what needs to be done so you can move forward. Whereas women, we go through it monthly. We were cursed to remember. Okay, we were cursed to remember the pain, to remember what it feels like to have children, to birth children, and to be in pain doing it. And I don't know if a lot of women really get into their bodies and what it means to really shed that and to get rid of, and for new things to be coming into your life during that time. I don't know if they get that deep into when they're in that time period of the month, because a lot of people just be like, "Child, I'm crazy. Don't mess with me. Give me some chocolate. Give me this. I'm craving that." But do they really get deep into what's going on with their bodies and the mindset that they should be in during this time? And I think that women, while they remember the pain of maybe cramps, or sometimes people don't even remember the pain of childbirth, they're not necessarily applying that to their life before the ring, because they'll continue to cyclically be with men that cause pain, that continue to do the same thing over and over again. And like you guys were saying, there are just some relationships that you just shouldn't be in. But because you're cyclical and you continue to do those things over and over again, there is no forward movement. And whereas men are going forward and doing things to further their lives, their careers, their money, women are just going in circles. And so doing the work to progress, or being in therapy, or learning their man, wanting to know who he is, wanting to know what he likes, what his goals are in life, they're continuing to do the same things over and over again. So the work is not really done. It's not being done. The work is not even really being recognized, because I don't think that they're really getting in tune with what's supposed to be going on during that time. So I'm going to play this video, and he was saying a lot of the things that you guys were saying. We're going to get to the video. He's going to talk about the men first, and then we're going to get to the women.
Don't understand that there's some bleeding and some cutting going on. All we see is the performance, but we don't see the pain and we don't see the price. It is painful to be a good husband. It costs you something to be a good husband. You have to cut your ego back to be a good husband. You have to cut your pride back to be a good husband. You have to cut back your need for reciprocity to be a good husband. It is not easy to be a good husband. Women, you're kind of quiet, but you're going to let this next part. It is not easy to be a good wife. It is easier to look like a good wife, and that takes a lot of work. You spend hours looking the part, but when it comes down to actually being a good wife, that's a task. Listen, ladies, if you got a dog, you got to feed him. If you got a cat, you got to have cat litter to take out. If you got fish, you got to change the water ever so often. You can't take in something and not expect it to require something. Just because you have a baby doesn't make you a mother. Let me give you something you can chew up. You're a mother, but you don't want to get out the bed. You're a mother, but you don't want to cook. You're a mother, but you don't want to wash clothes. You're a mother, but you don't want to deal with the issue. You're a mother, but you don't want to do homework. You like the title, but you don't like the job.
So like you say, you like the title, but you don't like the job. And I think Hank said it best when he says, "Are you ready for the day after the honeymoon? You know, are you prepared for that? And even if it's not the day after the honeymoon, are you prepared for the bad news we may get that puts somebody out of work, or someone's in harm's way? Are you prepared to do that work?" For the men, King, You still didn't answer the last question. You think you getting away? He's like, I'm still not talking. For the men, when a woman is drifting away, and Arpain, maybe you can actually hone in on this because you talked about it. When women are drifting away, do you notice it, and what is your response to that?
You're
You're
on
on
mute,
mute.
Arpain.
Yeah. Got it. Yeah. I think if you're in tune, you notice it. I mean, not every time. I mean, I'm just thinking over the long marriage. Have I been absent on certain things? Maybe. But I think uh, your woman leaves clues, right? She leaves clues. Attitudes over certain things that used to bounce off her back don't bounce off anymore, right? Smile. And so, either, I try to have kind of conversations where we kind of catch up because I used to travel a lot, for my job. And, so how's things going? What's going on? What's bothering you? Not what's bothering, but I mean, if I've asked my wife before, what do you think I need to do that you're not getting? Right. And sometimes she would give me an answer. Sometimes it's not adequate enough. And sometimes she would just say, everything's cool. Right. And I don't press it. Um, uh, but I'm trying to think of a good example where she went down the road and I just let her go, let her go. And
Mm,
I really I can't really point to one. Not off the top of my head. Maybe I'll think of something I can pop in. But women leave clues. And you just need to know that you are tied in with her and with your spouse, because in some cases for your husband. But you just got to be tied in enough to see them. Right? I mean, because women do that, right? It's kind of part of this whole thing that they all think we could read their minds and shit, right? You can't,
mhm,
but you kind of know when they're on that tip, like you should already know, kind of thing, right?
mm,
And I've had that. You know what's funny? I've had that discussion. Listen, I can't read your mind because my wife would do so. I don't know what you call it. Sometimes she would presuppose my answer before she ever asked me a question. Can't stand it. I can't stand it. I said, you can't think you know what I'm gonna say unless you give me an opportunity. I said, give me an opportunity to fail. How about that? You know what I'm saying? How
mhm,
you know what I'm gonna say? Because she tries to prepare herself for me saying the wrong thing, And that I hate that. But I
right.
don't hate it. It's just I think it's cute, but it's a pain in the ass that I got to navigate over that. So she does that every
Mm,
so often, and I have to pull her back from that. Tell me what you need. If I could correct it, I will. And if
mhm,
I don't agree with you, I'll tell you. And you have to be able to deal with the answer.
I
That
can
kind of
jump in
stuff.
there. I can jump in there right quick because I think this is where a lot of guys fail and when they're in relationships before they get to marriage. Because a lot of them they thinking giving a woman everything she wants, begging for her back, getting on your knees, trying to get a ring or something like that, right? Or giving her flowers is going to make her come back to you, and that's the worst thing you can do. A woman, especially your woman, that if she respects you, she don't never want to see you weak, and they see that as a sign of weakness if they see you begging or trying to put yourself in a predicament that's making you lower than her. So, as a man, what you have to do is you have to understand what you value. You got to understand what you bring to the table. You got to make sure that you on your piece of cues. You're not doing anything wrong. So it's no woman that I ever been with that I can say, hey, I did her dirty, I did her wrong, right? So then a lot of them, every time they want to get back with me later on, but I already moved on. I'm already you
You said, "Nope, I'm out."
exactly. So you have to understand, like, hey, I'm in this relationship. I'm gonna make sure I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. You make sure you do what you're supposed to do. We ain't gotta argue about what we doing. You just
Mhm,
make sure you doing your end. I make sure we doing our end. We're gonna make a full puzzle picture, and we're gonna be one, right? But if you wanna beg her, give her all the money, spending all that type of stuff, she's gonna leave, and they always do. And then they're gonna go out and get done dirty, or they're gonna get done with the dirty by somebody else, and then they're gonna be like, "Oh, I'm so sorry," and you should be happier with somebody else, another woman. And once
mhm,
that happens to you, don't be traumatized and all that type of stuff. Just say, "Hey, she wasn't ready for you. She wasn't ready for a serious relationship." You know what I'm saying? You ain't gotta say all women are bad or nothing like that. Hey, it's other women out there. Some women want what you want. You just go
mhm.
find her. Now you have more knowledge going into the game rather than saying, "Oh, I spent 2 years with this woman." No, I got more knowledge. I know what to look for. I became wiser. I became a stronger man. I stood on my ground, and then now I can go be a better husband to somebody else. And then when she see you with being a better husband to that next woman, she gonna be like, "Dang, that's supposed to be me."
Mm, that part. Alrighty. Hank, what do you think the signs are of a woman who's drifting away or not holding to this day forward until death do us part?
Well,
What are the signs of that?
I mean, there's a lot of signs, but I want to kind of, I guess, address what Brother Payne said. We can't allow women to force us to try to read them like that. We can't. That I don't want to ever put that. I'm not going to ever put that message out, and I would never teach my son to do that because it's not our job to do that. If you got a goddamn problem, you better open your goddamn mouth. Don't sit. We're not teenagers. Stop playing mind games with me. I'm not going to try to read your mind. I'm not going to try to guess. I'm not going to waste my time and energy and do that. I'm telling you right now, my lady, no, I'm not going to do that. Now, if you have a problem, then let's talk. Let's really talk. Don't have me playing these guessing games. Don't have me playing trying to figure it out. I see you say it. I know you said, but how do I supposed to know if I need to address you right now? How do I know I just need to give you a moment? See, I don't know. So I'm going to automatically give you a moment. That's what I'm going to do personally. I'm going to give you a moment. And when you feel good, are comfortable, are at ease, are in a space where you can talk, I'm going to be the best listener you ever seen. But I'm not just going to go up and assume and start having a conversation. No, I'm not going to do that. Now, I may come up and hug you. Don't say a word. Just give you a hug. I see you down, sad looking. I'll give you a hug, give you a kiss, and then I'm going to move on. You said, Hank, I need to talk to you. Oh, okay. Okay, cool. Let's go on over to the couch and let's have a conversation. But I'm not going to tell a man to go out there and just try to read. No, don't do that. Because you'll never figure it out. Mm-hmm. She got the biggest smile on her face, but she's so angry and goddamn sad. How do you know? You assuming everything's all right, but you really don't know. So, ladies, open your goddamn mouth. Squeeze the wheel, get the grease. I mean, I'm not with games. If we about what we trying to do, we need to do what we need to do. Have conversation. Let's speak on it. Let's talk about it. Now, to answer the question, we're precious. I forgot what it was. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm up my mouth and tell you I forgot. But if you can repeat it, I'll be glad to answer it.
What are the signs that a woman is drifting from that vow of from this day forward until death do us part? We heard TD Jake saying that, women want the title, but they don't want to do the work. So, what are the signs that she's not doing the work anymore? How do you know that the work is not being done anymore?
Well, I think the Hatch family expressed it best. As we all know, we're gonna go through changes. Every birthday we have, it's gonna be something different, right? So mentally, we're gonna change. Matter of fact, even our opinions and our values may change. Mm-hmm. My values when I was 20 compared to now is going to change. So I know that's going to happen. So, I think you just make sure you need to check in and communicate with your spouse on a regular basis. And you make sure you keep that communication open. Make sure it's a safe place, a vulnerable place that y'all can both be vulnerable and safe and be open to have that conversation. That has to be that has to be it right there. You got to make sure both, not just one way. I don't believe in one-way streets here. Yeah, it's not you just gonna pile on me. I gotta take it all, and I gotta carry this burden to work with me tomorrow or the rest of the evening. And I need to unload, but I feel like I can't because every time I try to have a conversation, somehow you get it turned back on you and how you feel. Now we can't do that. we got to be willing to listen at the same time. You know, and accept the feedback, whether we may agree or disagree. It may be a little harsh when it comes from Hank. I ain't gonna lie to you, but it's gonna come out of love. So as long as we do that, we got a chance. Is there gonna be a little slippage? Yeah, there's gonna be. You know, you might make some mistake or made a decision you probably know you shouldn't have, and you concerned about, man, I hate to have my husband because I know he's gonna get on me. I know he's gonna give me a hard time for making that decision. Even though he talked about it and we said a month ago we wasn't gonna do it, but I thought it was a good idea, and I made a decision. Well, you got to take it L.
Mhm.
You if that means you get lectured to because of something that we talked about, you made a decision anyway. Yeah, we got to take that L and keep it. I took one. It's all as men. We took some L's. Sometimes shit wasn't even our fault. We took him L's. So you got to be willing to do that, you know, and listen and pay attention and make sure you communicate. And if you, like I said, if you vet it right, more likely that man or that woman be understanding and be willing to, you know, forgive and move forward.
Mm.
Hopefully she just don't throw her hands up and throw the towel in, but, you know, 77 Purdue, so I wouldn't put it past them.
Yeah, everyone is saying communication. I think communication is very important. I, you know, have the phrase hot, honest, open, and transparent. And when you're being honest, open, and transparent, that means you're not telling half truths. It means that you're actually being honest about your stuff. She's being honest about her stuff, because if you're not going to be fully transparent, honest, and open, there's no point in continuing. I think a lot of the relationships that are or that don't need to be together or should have never started in the first place is because they weren't being honest, open, and transparent. Somebody was allowing something to happen. The other person was trying to people please. They weren't speaking up about something that was ailing them or something that they didn't like. So they weren't having that communication. And so as time went on, now you're bubbling. Now it's coming out. And now you could be 2 kids in, sharing rent, you know, not married. So I think in the beginning it has to be that. And if it's not going to be that, then it shouldn't be anything, honestly. If you're not going to be honest with me, if you're not going to be open with me, if you're not going to be transparent with me, especially if I'm coming with that, I don't think that if you're not receiving that, if it's not reciprocal, I think you need to catch that up front, because that tells you a lot about a person. It tells you about their integrity. Alrighty, who wants to go next?
I think I got to jump on it now. The signs we were at, right? I'm wholeheartedly in agreement with Hank down there. We got a saying in our house: a closed mouth don't get fed. That's just a New York saying. If your mouth stay closed, it can't put no food in there. So we definitely, voice what's going on and try to be, astute enough to notice what's going on with each other. But the signs is just the lack of inspiration, the lack of attentiveness, the lack of communication, the lack of curation. Like, she's just not inspired to do a lot of things. And more importantly, it's maybe always distress or discomfort or displeasure or voicing of, being displeased with having to do, because, being in this relationship, and it's kind of like an uphill battle. So be mindful of, the little shots, of the microaggressions, of, the little signals that people send you to let you know that they don't agree with what they got to do. They're not in line with what they got to do. They wish they could be doing less. They wish they could be doing different, because inside of those little shots are little pieces of truth. And you may be wearing the rope a little bit thin. So, I think that the signs are in the lack. When a person lacks inspiration, lacks the want to do, that's where you can start to look and think about the changes that you may need to make to make them do a 180.
What do you do
I like
as
that.
men when you're attempting to communicate, and you're going because you're like, man, I'm thinking she's checking out, right? And you feel as though it's a whack-a-mole thing. It's like, all right, she's checking out. Let me see what's going on. She addresses A, and then you like, all right, I'm gonna work on A, right? And then boom, now boom, B just done popped up and B somewhere else, and I'm like, well, hold on, like, but I've taken care of A. Why is this B thing all of a sudden? And it seems like it's always a whack-a-mole situation, as things kind of come up. How do men address that? How should men address that?
You gotta hit her head on. Honestly, you gotta if she's doing one part A wrong, and y'all should already had. So you got to build your communication while y'all in a good relationship, right? Don't start trying to work on your communication skills when you arguing and all that type of stuff. Now you want to talk. No, it should be throughout the relationship. Y'all should be able to come to one another and say, "Hey, I'm feeling like this, right? This is what's messed up. This is wrong. This is," and calm. And she or he should be able to address what you're saying. Oh, it's not like that. This is what's actually going on. Or my bad, I wasn't paying attention. Blah blah blah. Right. So when these situations like this happen, you can come because she should be already used to you coming to her or he or vice versa. Now it's able to be received better because this is how y'all always been doing it. Y'all have a routine, and you be like, "Hey, baby, I think you off right now. You're not doing this. You're not doing this, and this is why." Is it something that's bothering you? Is it somebody, a family member sick, or you know what I mean? Something what's going on? You don't like your job? Is it something I'm doing? And now you'll be able to get a better result, right? Or say if she's seeing somebody else, you can be able to get that out of her because if she's not giving you a real good answer, you can be like, dang, it might be somebody else on the side. Now I need to have my antennas up a little bit and say, hey, and then you can even tell her like, hey, yo, is it somebody else? You can even ask her that. You know what I mean? Now, you know what I mean? She's okay, dang, he might be on to me, or you know what I mean? I might have been thinking about that, but I might not need to go down that path because I don't want to lose him. And you can, hey, if I catch you doing something, I'm gone. So now she knows what the consequences of it is. So if she do it, hey, she didn't want you anyway. Peace.
Yeah, because I missed the drifting signs. And when I did start trying to be attentive to things, man, I would then get frustrated because I uttered the word several times. It's always something. Even if I address this, this is going to come up, or you're going to find something to say about this. So why am I even trying?
It's always something. It's that cyclical thing, I think, for women. Like it's always something, right? And so that's where women we have to weigh our options and see where the scale tips. We have to do that. And then as a man, I think that you weigh whatever she's bringing to you and see what's priority and what's really not. I mean, I think that men consider what women say and do their best in incorporating it into their theologies or their plans, but at the end of the day, everything that she says doesn't have to be Bible. She could be going through that cyclical Eve trait, and not time of the month, but mental frame. Because while that's a physical thing that happens with us, I think it's a mentality too. So if it's always something, it means okay, she's not settled. There's something that's not settled with her. It's something going on. If it's always something, and you evaluate that. You also evaluate your actions, but I think with the woman, if there's something always coming up, I don't think that she's settled. I don't think that she fully trusts the situation.
And you got to watch yourself too. So say King of you is in a situation, right? A is happening, B is happening, and C is happening. Sometimes you have to check yourself and say, hey, am I tripping? You know what I mean? Maybe B and C is really not that big. I'm more concerned about A, but A pissed me off so bad, B and C became an issue. You know what I mean? So sometimes we got to be like, all right, that's not that deep. You know what I mean? Let's move forward. You know what I'm saying? Even though it's something else, it's micro, it's not that, that big of a situation. So my bad. I'm sorry, y'all.
I'm gonna chime in real quick. Some women are just very selfish, okay, and very self-absorbed, and they're unhappy with themselves. So like you said, if there's a person where there's a problem, and after A has been, fixed or changed, and then there's a B that comes up, like there's some unhappiness going on with that person. It can't always be one person. It can't always be you. You understand?
Right.
So if you got a person that's coming with the A and the B and the C, you need to come with the A, the B, and the C, because you have a report to report change needs to happen. You understand? So when a man comes into a relationship, you guys definitely need to speak up on what's acceptable, what's not. Like what Hink says, some shit I'm just not going to allow. You know what I mean? And this pissy mentality of I can't do, I don't want to do, I'm just so unhappy. And when children start coming into play, that kind of attitude is unacceptable. You know, how much coddling can you do?
Right.
You cannot have everything your way. And this is women. We want everything our way. And I'm going to find something to gripe about, especially when sex is taken out of the picture. Now, I don't want to give you no sex. I'm going to find any reason to have an attitude to make sure you know that I don't want you to touch me. Like some women really start to get into that. I'm going to do all these things to get you. And like you said, once the honeymoon is over, I don't want to clean up. I don't want to change no diapers. I don't want to teach no kids. I don't want to love you. I don't want to inspire you. I don't want to do shit. Matter of fact, the grass is greener on the other side. I'm going to leave and I'm going to take the kids. And now I'm doing everything my damn self. It doesn't make sense. So, it's quite confusing. Women are very indecisive. Very indecisive. You know what I mean? So find someone that is not. And they're very clear on what they want and what they're willing to do in order to keep you. You gentlemen are the prize. If good men are hard to find, y'all are the damn prize. And that's the problem. Women think too much of themselves. They have way too much ego. And when you come into a family, you're trying to build a family, it is no longer about you. It is about those children. And those children need that father. It's very important. And we're losing sight of that. So women are quite self-absorbed, and I blame Disney, I blame TV, I blame reality TV, I blame housewives of this, housewives of that, because them bitches is not housewives. Easy.
It's a work of
Pardon my language, Precious,
But
but
you're
really-
good. Keep it real over here. But
really nice.
so my question to you, Nikki, is how do men identify this before I do? Like,
Yes.
how do they? Because
Yes.
I think sometimes it seems like it's undetectable to men, and then it's like, yo, what happened? Like, you're different, and it's like, I wish I was a fly on the wall, because what you didn't see it at all whatsoever?
Right. Yeah,
Allow
the plausible
me-
deniability. I mean, a lot of men are infatuated with the vagina and, whatever tricks they can do first. You know what I mean? So that infatuation will have you overlook that her ass is dirty. She don't clean up. She pawn her kids off to people. Now if a man is vetting a woman that has children, like, you're going to see how she nurtures her children. If this is a woman that pawns her children off, she doesn't keep a clean house, her children are eating fast food all the time, this is not a good woman for you. Now, if she's a good mother and she's present, she's considerate about what the kids eat, and they have a regular scheduled time, like those are the things you need to look for. Is her family pleasant? Do they speak well about her? You can't just jump into a relationship with a woman. You don't know who her mother, her father, her cousins, the people she lived up the street with. Those are things that are important. And you can't learn that on social media.
No.
And nowadays, people are meeting each other 6 months on social media and jumping into relationships, literally moving their life across country to move in with somebody you don't know. That's pretty scary. So that vetting process, gentlemen, for you definitely need to pay attention if she's a nurturing woman. If she's one who cares about you paying for her to get her damn nails done and a frontal, and you got to pay her bills, that's a problem.
Say it again. And her frontal.
In this day and age, lady, she should be able to take care of herself. Now, if you decide you want to come in and step in and take care of her, then that's an honor. It needs to be respected and honored. But then they get y'all, and it's like, I don't feel like doing that no more. But then you get mad when he cheats. Come on, stop it. You give that access to your husband. Like, we don't play with that. You don't want him to go nowhere. You make sure he taken care of, belly full and dick empty. That's how you keep your man. Pay attention to him. Y'all can't do all the paying attention to the women. They need to pay attention to their man and those children. Everything out in that world is not as important as what's being created and cultivated at home. And us educating ourselves about each individual child, because they're different, quite unique. You have to pay attention because they get lost in the sauce and then they don't have both of us. That's detrimental. And are you ladies ready to answer those questions to those kids? Because, you know, women are put on pedestals. We're superheroes to our children. And it's unfair that we don't give that credit to the father who's been holding us down, you know? So we got to do a better job with inspiring them and motivating them to go out and do that hard work, because y'all carry a lot of weight on y'all shoulders and we have no damn clue. And we need to start understanding that. Have some respect. Put some respect on the man.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all are kings to me. Y'all are kings to me. Y'all are kings to me. I'm just saying.
I know that's right.
So, yeah. Men, don't pay no woman's bills unless you got your last name. Ain't no damn way you should be doing that. Why? Why are you making that type of investment? She may not be worth that investment. Ain't no damn way he's going to do it. I'm not paying. My woman lives where she lives at, and I live in my home. I don't believe in shacking up until I'm blessing you with my last name. That's not what I'm doing.
Are y'all having sex if she doesn't have your last name?
Yeah, I'm banging her down, King. If that's what you want to know.
Why can she give up the cookie and y'all can have sex if she don't have your last name, but you can't pay a bill? Why?
Because I don't do that for a woman. I do that for my wife.
So your wife can give up, your girlfriend can allow you to enter her. But
no, I don't have a girlfriend. I don't have a
girlfriend.
girlfriend. I got a lady. I don't have a girlfriend. I don't mess with girls. I like ladies, and I have a grown lady, and I do have sex with her since that's what you asked me. No, I don't pay her bill. She's a grown woman. That's part of the process. She needs to show me she can take care of herself. That's part of the process. If I'm going there bailing her out, she showed me she can't take care of herself. So something happened to me, we fail. Because she can't take care of herself. She has to prove that to me. And that's part of proving that. Keeping your home clean, making sure your kids are right. All of that's proof to me that you could do it on a consistent basis. Don't do it just because I'm coming over and knocking you down. Don't do it because I'm coming over and pick you up and take you on a date. Do it when I'm not around. I got a key. I'm coming anytime I want to. And she got a key to my spot. She come over anytime she want to. But she doesn't live with me. And I don't live with her. But when I bless her with my last name, we're going to go buy a home together. I'm not going to move into my house. It's my ex-wife that live here. How does that look? Nah,
are you engaged? Are you engaged?
Not yet, but it's coming. So no, I'm not saying no dates because she's paying attention. But no, I'm not doing it. I wouldn't encourage no man to do that. Why? Now, there's things I'm doing. As you say, King, every time we go, she doesn't pay for anything. She don't have to pay for nothing. She's well taken care of. Well taken care of. She doesn't pay for them when we go out. I get her things just because. Just like she blesses me with things just because. But no, we don't live together and I won't pay for nothing for us. No, I will not. And I wouldn't encourage no man to do that. Why? Now, we're moving in directions of becoming as one. We setting things up. We have conversations about everything. It's not a conversation. Men need to have these conversations with these women. So half the stuff that we're talking about, have an issue with, that could have been already addressed. Should already have been addressed. I should know how she gets down because I'm paying attention. I'm watching her. I'm paying attention to what she takes in between social media, the television, her family members, her friend circle. I'm paying attention to all of that. All that's giving me some type of information that I need to know about her in the future. How she interacts with family members, how she treats sisters and brothers, how she treats her kids. All that she's going to come back on me one day. It's only a matter of time. Now, I gotta let her know from the get up. Okay, I see how you talk. Don't talk to me like that. Don't come to me like that. Don't address me like that. This is how I like to communicate. When I need time, give me a moment. I reminded her a couple weeks ago. I'm like, it's not the time. I'll let you know I'm ready to talk. It's not that time. And if you don't know how to talk to me in a respectful tone, I will hang up on you. I will disconnect from you. And I'll call you back when I'm ready. Don't call me. I'll call you. Because I'm not going to accept that. And the minute you do, it's okay. And now it's coming on the regular. So get used to it. No, not Hink. Now, maybe it's me being too hard or too, maybe. I don't give a damn. But I found the right one who's willing to accept all of those things I'm asking for, all of those demands, all those requests, and how I move. She's willing to do it, and she's going to get blessed. She realized that, how blessed she is. She tells me on a regular basis. She couldn't do that with her ex. You messing with a boy. Now you got a man.
Mm-hmm.
So now let's move as two grown adults in the directions of marriage.
Hank, I just want to know what movie you going to play in, because I just want to be in the front seat. They roll the credits.
The movie.
Because you have such a movie persona. But it's real. But it's like, you definitely could play a good, strong role in the movie. But you were saying, maybe it's harsh. In my opinion, I don't think that that's harsh. I don't know if your woman ever plays sports or, was in a situation where you have leaders leading you. You have a father who reprimanded you and gave you boundaries and parameters that you were not going to go outside of, because if you did, there were consequences. I think the woman who had that and the woman who don't have that, because the women who don't have that feel as though anything goes, right? I could wear what I want, I could say what I want, I could come at you however I want, and you're just gonna have to be okay with it. Whereas a woman who has been given parameters and is used to, we talk about it all the time, Mr. He said, Mr. She said, all of us, about being on a team, playing sports, and how, you're doing that for the betterment of the team. You're not going to always want to go to practice. You're not going to always want to run those sprints because so-and-so missed foul shots, but you're all doing it because it's part of the teamwork that's going to produce the W, right? So I don't think that that's harsh. I think that more men need to be like that, because your yes needs to be your yes, your no needs to be your no. And when women see that your yes and your no are not yes for real and no for real, they're able to manipulate you in ways where now, again, we 2 years down the line with a baby sharing rent. Okay.
Yeah.
So I don't think that's harsh at all. And I think that if men were, being more aware, or, really honing in and vetting women in a certain type of way, they would be able to see how this woman was raised and how she was brought up. I think James was talking about it earlier, and I remember what I wanted to say, because I totally forgot earlier. Y'all probably didn't notice, but I did. He had brung up women not having that example, right? So my question to you guys is, in this day and age, if a woman wants to be married, she didn't have the father, maybe she didn't play sport, maybe she just been on her own out here trying to figure it out, what would you say to her? How would you advise her?
Honestly, no matter what woman you get with in today's time, you're gonna have to help her out with some changes, because of the situation is so bad in today's time that women just don't really respect men. So you're gonna have to teach her how to talk to men, talk to how to operate, how to dress, because there's a lot of different things like that they just allowed to do whatever. So it's kind of like trying to take not saying women are animals, but just not trying to like take a wild animal and you know what I mean, put her in your, put the animal in your house. You know what I mean, it's gonna be a lot of different things you're gonna have to take out of the animal because it's been doing whatever it wanted to do. So, but men from a young age, we've been taught how to respect men, the either the easy way or the hard way. The hard way, you getting punched in your mouth. You know, so they haven't been taught that, whatever. So it's certain things that we're gonna have to do. Like, so even with my wife, right? It was certain things, you know what I mean, even though she's still a good, great woman, it was still certain things that she was doing, you know what I mean, that, you know what I mean, I don't know because she's from New York or what. I'm from the South, you know, that could be something to do with it.
That East Coast and down South combination.
Yeah. So I don't know if that had something because she was all aggressive, trying to be aggressive. And I'm like, yo, I ain't, you know what I'm saying? I ain't trying to do all that, but you know what I'm saying? So it's just, no matter what woman you're going to get with, it's going to be some, you know what I mean, some loose ends, and that you're going to have to try to help her and fix. And you as a man, you want your woman to be the best because she's going to be a reflection of you anyway. So I don't want you out there looking like a fool, especially in front of other men, because the other men going to look at me like, yo, that's your wife? Like, why she up here clowning? Why she acting like that? You need to get your wife in check. That's the last thing you're gonna hear from another man saying about my wife. So, and I'm make sure of that.
Lady Di had the Nuck If You Buck, and you had the We Are Family. Like, come on, girl, now. No, but I mean, it's honest. It's, you know, it's hot, honest, open, and transparent, and that's what we're here for, because everybody doesn't start at greatness. You know, we don't start at greatness, and I think the greatest thing someone can do is get understanding. They can get knowledge, they can get wisdom, they can get training. Like James was saying, ain't nothing wrong with the word train. If there's something wrong with the word train, then I need to know how you're using your vocabulary. Okay. I need to know. But it's crazy that a word like that can strike someone who doesn't see the importance of what training can do for you, and even outside of a husband, because a lot of times too, a lot of things you do, like you guys talked about, having a clean home, being able to, you know, run your household right, nurture your children. Those things do prepare you to be a wife. But if you're not getting that understanding, getting that knowledge, you will be astray. So I appreciate that, James. Thank you. What would you guys say? Well, how would you advise a woman who didn't have a father background, never played sports, doesn't know structure? How would you advise her, but wants to be married? Maybe she done made some mistakes, but what would you say to her, especially to go down this road and to say this vow from this day forward until death do us part?
So but you the key thing that you said was that wants to change and wants to be married. That has to be her idea, right? That she has to be the willing student.
Mm-hmm.
She has to be able to want to change, right? So if she wants to change, that means if you have a list of things, if you're a man, or whether one of the things you got to find out whether she could take direction or information from a man or a woman. I think one of the problems we have with black women is even if they want to change, they have a very difficult time taking information from men.
Mm-hmm.
Same message, I think resonates better with them if a woman says it from time to time. I think.
I don't know. I don't know.
Well,
I
but
don't know.
they need to hear more women who have receipts saying stuff.
Mhm.
Because men having receipts and saying things, I don't necessarily think that, especially if the woman's not emotionally attached to you, you're just
Mhm.
another man talking about stuff,
Mhm.
right? Because I've seen men drop serious logic on women and it bounces off them like kryptonite, right? But here's my example. You get a sister like Crimson Cure, right? She dropped some bars,
Mhm.
but there's a lot of women who understand that she's telling the truth, but they can't stand her for it, right? But if a man says it, forget it, he'll get canceled. So I'm just saying that's just my thought about it. But that doesn't mean men shouldn't say anything.
Mhm.
But one of the things I just had a feed where I was telling, we were talking about the 10 things that men should do to court a woman, to vet and court a woman. Now, most of this was applying to men, but there's probably some corollaries for women, right? Is the woman a Christian? Is she willing to take direction? She's a Christian, then you could talk to her about it. If you're a Christian, then you have to be able to actually legitimately want to say the vows.
Mhm.
And here's what they mean, especially if you're a Christian, you want to say it before God. That needs to mean something to you.
Right.
That might get to her, right? The counselor might help with that. And some other stuff, you know. I think one of the things with some women is, I mean, how comfortable are you in your own skin? I think in the Black
Mm.
community, we have a lot of women who have issues being comfortable in their own skin.
Right. That's true.
I think that's a problem.
Very true.
I really do. And you know, but it doesn't mean that they're bad people. But if you can't survive without a wig on or eyelashes and things. I mean, I think that's bad. I really do.
You're right
Um,
about it.
you know, emotional stuff. There's some truth to women being considered around the world as angry black women, angry. And how do we? If you want to be married, you got to dispel some. You got to get rid of some of that, right?
Mhm.
So how do you tell? You know, the only thing that's going to carry a woman who wants to go from where she's at to marriageable is she's got to be taking some of these truths and internalizing them to change.
Yeah.
And that's not going to be any easy feat. I think, and this is I'm gonna say this. I think it's easier to go ferret through the wheat and chaff to find a woman that's already converted, as opposed to changing
Mm.
a woman from here to there.
Mhm.
You know, if people say there's no good women out there, I don't believe that.
Yeah.
You know, especially black. I personally don't believe it. You know, everybody's not like some of the hyenas on this damn. I don't know you personally, but I wouldn't consider you one of the hyenas. So, do you feel like a unicorn?
Do I feel like a unicorn?
Yeah.
No, I just know how I was raised. So that, I just
But you would say that there's some other women that have some virtues like you might have.
yeah, I see women in
Yeah,
the space that do.
yeah, that's what I'm
But
saying.
I just think that, with women, women have to be honest with themselves. They have to be real with themselves. This is what I talk about all the time. You have to be real with yourself.
Yeah.
And, like you said, even Crimson Cure, shout out to her. Shout out to Security Boss. Shout out to Lady Di. Like, these are women who, have gone
Mrs. Ted or
through
whatever.
Mrs. Yes, Mrs. She said, I'm sorry. Charged to my head, not my heart.
Yeah,
Gone
whatever.
through the process of marriage, and they're honest, they're real about it. They spend their time, they serve, right? They're there for you to take advantage of. And there are just some women who are not, like, for me, honestly, and this could just be me, I don't know. But I live by that. If someone is not willing to be open to something, there's nothing that I can do to change your mind,
Exactly.
right? And so those
Exactly.
people that are listening to all the women that I just said, and are hardening their hearts and are, hating them for what they do, or the real life advice and facts that they give, those women don't want to even be open to themselves, right? Like you were saying, that you can't, if you can't go somewhere without your wig and your lashes, you don't want to look yourself in the mirror. If you can't go to 7-Eleven without your wig and your lashes, and your 5-year-old handing you your wig so you can put it on, or they calling the school saying daddy done picked her up, it's like, no, it's just her without the wig. Okay, then something is wrong with that.
I
And
think so.
women need to understand that and really get that underneath their skin. If you can't do that, if you in your 30s and you dependent on those things, don't try to be dependent on a man, because you're not even dependent on your emotions to look yourself in the mirror and accept yourself. So you're never going to accept that man. He might come with money. He might come with all the cars in the world. He might give you everything you need and put you on that pedestal that you think you sitting on. But guess what? When you go to bed at night, you know in the morning you got to do the same thing you did yesterday because you can't be naked. You can't
Right.
be yourself around him emotionally or physically. That has to be torture.
Yeah.
That it has to be torture. And so because they don't want to show you that they're torturing themselves, they'll just smile, throw on that wig and them lashes and post a couple of posts on IG. So
Mhm.
you think that their life is great, but it's not. Because they can't be real with themselves. And there's nothing wrong as a woman and a man. There's nothing wrong with being real with yourself. We're all imperfect. None of us are, perfect. We're not. It's when you sit down and you're honest with yourself and you say, I need to stop doing this because I'm not advancing myself or I'm not getting the results that I need. What do I have to change? I always talk about pivot. Playing basketball, you got to pivot.
Mhm.
Sometimes you just have to pivot, you have to shift, and that's okay. But you need to do it around people who got your back. You need
I
to
agree.
do it around people that's not going to talk about you because you have this imperfection. And I think that's what a lot of women struggle with. I have this imperfection and they going to look at me crazy and I ain't trying to get looked at crazy. So I'm just not even going to address it. That's stupid. Guys, isn't that what R. Kelly said? Is this camera on me? That's stupid. It is. Because if you can't look at you in the mirror, how do you think that I'm going to look at you in real life? It's not going to happen. People are going to eventually see the fakeness because they have
I
been so
agree.
real with themselves.
Mhm.
So you have a lot of fake people walking around, not only identifying the fakeness in other people and not really identifying the realness. And that's why nobody close. That's why we don't have community. Because you want to talk about somebody. Or you want to hurt them because your feelings were hurt or
Right.
because they had an opposing opinion. We got to get real. Life is bigger than us. We have to get real with ourselves because time ain't going to stop for us. Y'all set it up here already. Change is the only constant thing. You're going to always change. And if you in the same spot 10 years later and you not changing and you don't look different to other people, if they can't recognize you no more, if they can still recognize you. I think we talked about this a couple of panels ago. How people in high school are still doing the same thing. I think James brought that up a couple weeks ago. You
Mhm.
see people, they still doing the same thing. They ain't changing. They still blaming everybody for their issues. They not trying nothing and failing at it. They just at the same place. That's sad.
I know. But even with all that, right? So how do we ferret out the folks who will kind of say, not just women, but guys have their own set of issues.
Mhm.
I think, so women have their issues, men have their own set of issues. And I think a lot of men these days don't try hard enough.
Mm.
They don't try hard enough. I mean, you'll get on these spaces and they're blaming everybody else for why they where they are. And at some point that's gotta stop. Right? Because you can't keep looking backwards, right? What are you doing for the future? What's your ground zero as a man? What's your basic stability? Can you take care of yourself? Can you answer that question?
Mm.
And if you can't answer that question and you're in your 20s, some people say you should start at 16, where you have at least a direction on whether you want to go to vocational school or college. But let's just say after some of that's over, I mean, are you starting to put your roots down to grow them? That certainly has happened in your 20s. And so now you have those men meeting the women who can't even look themselves in the mirror. And we got a horrible disaster, right? Because the women with the crazy expectations are now the same age as the guys who don't, who have like their own inferiority complex because they think they're missing something. They don't think they have enough. I don't make enough money. I don't do this. I don't have that because my parents didn't teach me, that kind of
Mhm.
stuff. So I don't know. I don't know where we go with that. So how did we get from those people to people like us talking about till death do us part? In
Well,
the marriage.
and
But
I believe in the saying, you can't get weary in well doing, right? You can't get weary doing the right thing, doing the good thing, spreading the good news. You can't get weary in doing that. We
I
can't get weary in doing it.
I think that it's an interesting dynamic, and I'm going to get a little bit personal here, but the stuff that I'm going to talk about isn't anything that's not known or that can't be found online because she shares this. So, Precious, your question was, what's the outlook for women that didn't have the example, that don't have a good idea of what a wife is, and how do you work that as a man? Well, interesting enough, the lady who I'm talking to knew her father later in life. I met the man. She didn't have her father around. She didn't have a good example of that growing up, and uh, a lot of those things that you see in, or that you would like to see in a two-parent household structure, she didn't have that, right? Yet, one of the things that I respect about her are two things. A, she has been open with me. If she was not open, we wouldn't have made it this far. And B, I think the answer to your question is, and it's kind of what Hink laid out earlier, state what the game plan is, right? Have the things that you're going to stand your 2 feet on, and communicate that stuff early, right? Work through that. If she's not somebody that wants to be a part of that, she can walk, and that's fine with me, right? But being open and understanding what the game plan is, I think, a way that a man can look at a woman to decide if she's not going to give him the bait and switch, which is what a lot of people worry about. It's like, okay, folks want to talk about vetting and things like that. All right. Well, what stops the change from happening to where you feel as though you got bait? That's the thing that really worries me. But being open and communicating what the game plan is, in my opinion, where guys should start.
And can I just say this one thing? Okay.
Sure.
Uh-oh.
I'm gonna just say this one thing, actual King Smith.
I should sit up for
Um,
this.
you also have a woman who is submitted to God. And I talked
Yes.
about this earlier in the show, right? So she's not going to allow herself not to be open because she believes in all thy getting get understanding. She believes in that, right? So she's going to be open with you as long as you guys keep that honesty and trust going on within the relationship, because she knows that if I'm open, I'll be able to be received, and he can give and I can receive, right? She also understands that concept, that principle. Give, receive, give, reciprocal action, right? So again, she's grounded. She didn't have an earthly father, but she has a heavenly father, and that father has rules, standards. He know you ain't perfect, but he takes you as you are, and she goes by that. And so to me, because I don't know you guys that personally, but I have known you enough. It's been a couple years now.
Seems like
Where
it.
yeah, where we've been doing content, but I know that about her. I mean, she's a preacher, like, you know what I mean? Her professions and everything. She's a teacher, she is in um situations and dynamics in life where that works as a benefit for her and for you, right? So women who have that understanding and that awareness understands that, hey, if I'm open, if I'm honest about not having a father, right? About not seeing it done correctly, about not having that upbringing, if I'm open and I'm honest about that, then maybe I can be able to receive things that I wasn't able to receive before, and I can further, or I can break the generational curse, or I can break, us not having this upbringing. It could stop with me, and the new trajectory of the family line can continue with me because I'm a curse breaker. So the fabric of the woman matters. The fabric of the woman straight up matters. You see, like, because let me get your opinion. Can you compare it to anybody you ever been with?
Mhm.
Is she better than anyone that you ever been with? And not in like a vain way or whatever, but
Hold on
just
now, hold on. Don't answer that one.
what I'm saying is,
No,
if you
I'm
can't
joking.
compare her, she's in a league of her own,
I
is what I'm
mean,
saying.
so the answer to that is yes, because if the answer was no, I wouldn't be. We wouldn't be where we're at right now.
Exactly.
So let me ask Precious on that point with him.
Hmm.
The issue is you were in a position to recognize that.
Hmm.
That's one of the things I have with some of the fellas. The guys who are just trying to smash out there, they couldn't reckon. Some of these guys couldn't recognize a good woman if they saw one because they're trying to smash everybody.
But King
You know, I
also
mean,
been
at
married
least one,
before too.
huh?
So King also been married before. I believe men who have been married know what to look for, because hell, they know they ain't trying to get what they had before. So they know what to look for. They're not wasting time. They're not really wasting
That
time.
helps.
Yes,
That helps.
and I can't recall if it was Payne or if it was he said, but it's like knowing who you are too. Because look, I mean, I raised my hand and say I wasn't perfect in my first marriage,
Right.
and that actually I want to scratch that from the record. There were things that I know I could have done better. It wasn't about striving to be perfect, but there were things that I realized I failed as a man and I failed as a husband to my first wife. And once I rectified that through therapy, through just learning and growth, I understand the man who I am now, the man who I am going forward. And if I make that choice to as he say, and I love it, bless somebody with my last name, I know exactly what I'm not going to have around me uh, in life going forward. So I think a big part of that as a man was understanding who I am.
Mm.
I
That
had
had
want to ask, I had want to answer R Payne's question because he was kind of talking about kind of like what do the guys and the women to do that want to get married and stuff. And I say like if they're not seeking these types of spaces, you got people. I'm married. You know, Miss He said, she said they married. You know, you married our pain. So we have no excuses for us not to be married in today's time, right? Because we got all the knowledge we want to go to. We got encyclopedias. If they don't like how I talk, they can go to Misa. He said they don't like how he talk. You go to you are pain. If you don't like how he talk, you go listen to him. We got all different ways of knowledge that we kind of going through right now as men and women, and you can gain it. So it's just a point of, do they really want it? Because if they really want it, it's out there.
They know how to find it. You're right. They know how to find it. They want
Yeah, because
it.
they
You know?
not find negativity. They'll be on World Star all day. You know what I mean? Going down the timeline, right? Or somebody talking about something messy in this space. We see 300, 400 to 1,000 live viewers. You know what I'm saying? But over here, well, we had like 20, 30. You know what I'm saying? So if they actually wanted the knowledge, they'll get it. And the people that wanted to be married, you see, they are married. You know what I
You
mean?
know,
So
it's
that's why I
funny
always
that
tell
we're even
women.
talking. I'm sorry. It's funny we're even talking about this because I just went through a live on another network. I don't know if you want to mention it, but where we talked about the 10 things, and it's more than 10, that we had a panel of guys. We talked about if I'm a man looking to vet and court a woman, first we kind of identified what vetting meant and what courting meant. And then we went through a list of the things off the top of our head of what a guy should do to mitigate his risk. But I had a video where a guy was talking to a woman, and there's some assumptions you have to make. she seemed like a very marriageable minded woman. And he couldn't get past the fact that all he wanted to do was smash her, and they're having a conversation. And she's saying, well, I like you, but we got to get to know each other. And, if you're my man, then we could do. But he's saying, but I got to smash you first. I mean, in different words. So their conversation was it was kind of fun because it was apropos to the live. And that's what I think is indicative of a lot of men today, that they couldn't recognize a woman that is not a 304, that is telling them what if you want somebody with my virtue or my caliber, these are the kind of things I want. And he couldn't get past. He just couldn't get past trying to convince her to sleep with him.
But
And it was a great time. I'll just put it in the chat if you want to see it. It's a minute and a half.
Well, the thing about it, Brother Payne, is talk is cheap.
Yeah.
She could say that's what she don't want to do.
Yeah,
but at the same time, 2 days later, 5-star restaurant later, I'm knocking it down.
Talking about taking her out.
No,
that's not what I'm saying.
Listen, what I'm saying, Brother Payne. You got a lot of individuals like that. I heard they not holding to what they saying.
You got to understand that. I do. You have to see the video. I do understand. I didn't want to stop it.
I'm just talking about the scenario. I don't care about the video. I understand. Look, a woman needs to let her know her intentions. Ladies, if you want to be married, I'm talking to the lady now. Ladies, if you want to be married, you better let it be known you want to be married, and you got to hold to it. Don't just talk about it. You got to be about it. That means every opportunity it comes up, or a situation comes up, or event comes up, you need to give a friendly reminder. Yeah, I can't wait till we get married. Yeah, I'm looking forward to getting married. What do you think about us going ring shopping? What do you think about us, living in this type of neighborhood, or living in this city, or moving in this state? Or let me ask you this: if we was to have kids, would you want to homeschool the kids, or would you be willing to put our kids in a private school or a Catholic school or whatever the case may be? When we have Thanksgiving, how do you feel about rotating? You got to let your intentions be known and hold fast
to do with what I said. I don't understand what that had to do with what I said. I didn't say she didn't.
Well, I'm talking about that video you used to talk about, brother.
Yeah, but I don't see how you got that out of what I said. That's what I'm saying. I hear you and I agree with you, but that's not you just taking my thing completely out of context.
No,
because that's what I think. But I'm only being defensive because you're taking it out of context. Because I agree with what you just said, but that's not what I said. But I don't know what that's sparked by.
I don't know why you look here. Every man to come up to a woman, he's looking to smash. Let's stop this shit.
I thought it was an interesting conversation between the two of them. I know that every man is
okay. So, but we can't.
You're taking this thing because you didn't see it, and you're making this thing that this guy supposed to want to smash. I understand that. It's just made for an interesting minute and a half. That's all.
I understand, but I'm talking about the scenario. The scenario. I'm talking about the scenario you just presented to us.
Yeah, but you took the scenario to your own interpretation. You didn't see it. That's what I'm saying. That's the only reason why I said you didn't see it. You went all the way over here, and I said that's not what that scenario would bring out. But maybe it would bring out that in you. So, but
I agree with Hank that I was going to say I agree with Hank that women should make their intentions known. But I think everyone should make their intentions known.
I agree with that.
Because y'all literally just said every man's intention is to smash. So if a woman is listening to that, she's going to think all he wants is sex, right? Initially, right? So then the next thought in her mind is, okay, so when does he move from just sex to, wanting to be in a committed relationship with me? Because a lot of women will say, "Well,
talking about that,
right? I don't want to have sex with you unless we're in a."
About that. He ignored her because he didn't want to hear it. She was telling him what she wanted from him. Exactly.
Okay,
And he didn't
so
hear it.
given that scenario, right? And they probably, I think I know what clip you're talking about. I think, but given that scenario, they weren't in a relationship. They were just being asked these questions, right?
Yeah, we're just talking.
So,
Yeah.
so given that, they say that the number one reason. Let me get to this. The number one reason for filing for divorce. Getting back on the topic from this day forward until death
Okay.
do us part. The number one reason for filing for divorce given by both men and women is growing apart or arguments. According to one study, this accounts for 66% of the reasons men and women each give for divorce. So, just to bring it full circle,
Mhm.
because we use communication a lot tonight, right? From this day forward until death do us part, the biggest thing that you do have to have is clear communication. Because if 66% of the reason why men and women can't stay married and they get a divorce is these I can never say this word.
Irreconcilable differences.
Irreconcilable. I had
Differences.
the
Yeah,
losing Isaiah. The if that is the reason, right? Then that means that we can't communicate. We can't get what we need to say to one another without wanting to leave one another. And because we can't communicate that, then we do leave one another. Now, to me, this is, past the point where you're, saying that you want to be with this person and you want to be in that committed relationship. Because anything before that is like Hank said, like, you got to put your money where your mouth is if you want to be in that position. But if you're in that position of being committed to someone and then you find yourself not wanting to be with that person anymore, and the stats are giving that 66% of people divorce because of arguments, that's crazy to me. Over arguments. Now, a
Not
lot of
me.
people say, cheating, money, but along with the cheating and the money comes arguments. I'm pretty sure if people were able to communicate about cheating, communicate about finances and things like that in an honorable way towards one another, you might be able to get through it. You just might be able to get through it, right? God parted the sea. He made a way through, but he ain't get rid of the sea. But go ahead, Mr. He said.
I was just saying that I could see how it all happens again. Look at the conversations we see day to day. Everybody speaks like a politician. No word has definition. Everything's subjective. So imagine if our relationship is like that. We never really addressed the cheating. We kind of, went over it kind of in a glance, no real strategy. But, this is, ties into my previous answer. And I gave a trigger warning. I'm going to try to be politically correct, but probably going to come a time where I just got to part ways from that. There's no example of family. And here's the answer for a woman that never had an example, never had a father. She need a surrogate family. And that's my problem with women, is that they always act like they're better than everybody else. If we had a child that was wayward, a child that was latchkey, we would give him a surrogate family. We would show him structure. We would show him discipline. But they different. They not different. They need a surrogate family. And this is, I say it may be hard to hear, but ladies, y'all need to find a family and attach to it.
He ain't lying. He ain't lying.
Y'all need to humble yourself. Y'all need to say, y'all got some good shit going on over here, Huxtables. Maybe I could come over here and learn something. But, our pain want to make all the men horny and all the women are just horny because they have no standards. So eventually somebody going to end up fucking, but they fucking anyway. This is where y'all just dumb, because y'all sharing men anyway. You need a sister anyway.
Ooh.
Like, this is why there's no community. There's no sister bonding. Y'all just said the girls don't know about their bodies. It's because there's no community. Y'all too in your own way to say, you know what? I like the way this woman moves. I like the way this man moves. Let me go over here and learn something from my elders. Let me learn something from a family with a track record. Everybody fly by nighty. It depends. I can't judge. Everybody's different. And that's why y'all all are going to be sad around the holidays while we got the onesie pajamas on and then making cocoa. And this is why you get all of the arguing and the yelling around November and December. Why it wasn't like this in the summer when the barbecues was, nobody wasn't on here showing all this attitude. But now it's getting cold, cuddle season, holiday season, cocoa season. And they alone with no seasoning. So, you know, again, y'all keep thinking that y'all got all the answers, but y'all don't. Like James said, the people that's sitting in these boxes, we got the answers. Y'all keep looking at them celebrities if y'all want. But y'all will learn. And again, we might not have all the subscribers. We might not have all of the views, but we got all the receipts. We got 20-year-old, 3-year-old children running around this house. We all in the same house as a family. So, you know, keep saying what you want and waving the flag against right. But right is right. And Lady Di and Real Precious and Take Heed and Almond Eyes and Mrs. She Said, I know all of them. I watch them every day. I say their names every day. Mona D, y'all know who y'all is. And y'all ain't got no million viewers neither. So we going to keep on waving the flag that we wave. We're going to keep on saying shame. We added a new moniker now, conscious parenting, for the people that don't like the previous. So jump on board, sign a petition that the missus got. We doing work. We out here. It's 365 days in a year. We could tell you what we doing with our days. So, you know, thank you for having us, Precious. I always love, you know, this forum and this atmosphere for this conversation. But surrogate families, if you need to find a good family, you better find one.
He ain't lying. I must say, you know, God did that for me. I was adopted. And I couldn't imagine if I was still in North Jersey. Like, I couldn't imagine if I wasn't blessed with a family to raise me under structure and order. I couldn't imagine. So what you are talking about is what happened to me in real life. And I had to find my real self. Like literally, like my family. I had to find out why God separated me from them. Why did he choose this life for me? Because it don't happen to everybody, but it happens to a lot of children. And you have children that will go in direction of their biological family, which probably wasn't the best circumstances, right? They'll go in that direction and they'll blame everybody, or they'll say, I didn't have the best, you know, parents, and I didn't have the support system. And they're probably being honest. They didn't. But then you have other people that sit and take a step back and like, wait, why was this life given to me? Why exactly was it given to me? And I think a lot of people need to ask themselves, why was this struggle given to me? I think that's where you start realizing who you are. Why was your struggle given to you? Stop worrying about everybody else. You got alopecia, you need to wear wigs. Why was that given to you? Stop worried about, oh, I don't look like this and I wish I looked like this. No, why was it given to you? Because when you figure out why it was given to you, then you can embrace it. Instead of trying to, you know, wear it away or bypass it or sweep it underneath the rug. So we have to, I think with, you know, from this day forward until death do us part, from this day forward, I you know, it starts before you're even at the altar, before you have this grandiose wedding, right? From this day forward means when we decide to be in a committed relationship, I am going to be committed to you. Period. But you can't be committed to somebody else until you're committed to yourself. You can't depend on somebody to be committed to them if you're not committed to yourself. How are you going to be able to trust that person? Or how is that person going to be able to trust you if you're not committed to yourself? So when we try to get down to the nitty gritty of who we are and the realness of who we are, we need to start with the things that we don't like, the things that irk us in our life. The big why. Most leadership conferences, they'll tell you to start with why. Why do you do this? And I know all of y'all have a reason of why y'all do this. And God gave me an adoption to do this. To say, hey, look, you had to really find the real you. There's people who are in their families, that's been in their families biologically, that don't know the real them. So once we start doing that and getting real with ourselves and being honest with ourselves and God, and being like, God, I'm mad at you because you tripping right now. Big time. You tripping. And you can talk to him just like that, because I do. We just gotta be real with it. We can't be fake. We can't be doing it for views. We can't be worried about what everybody else talking about. You gotta be real with you. We got YouTube reality shows out here. It's crazy. It's crazy, the stuff we see on YouTube for some money, for a coin, not for a changed life, but for some money in your pocket. And yes, we do need to, survive and take care of our children and put food on the table. But when you get up there, God is going to ask you, what did you do with what I gave you? What'd you do with it? Did you squander it away? Did you not even figure out why I put you on this earth? So we got to be real with ourselves. And once we do that from that day forward, then maybe we could progress to the marriage from this day forward until death do us part. Because before it's you and a man, or before it's you and a woman, it's you and God. So there's something that you have to die to. There's something that you have to circumcise. There's some shedding that needs to happen. So I just want to say I appreciate you guys for sticking in this series. We're going to get to closing words. Before that, we're going to highlight some super chats. I saw some come in, but the conversation was so good, I didn't want to pause. But I appreciate you guys from the bottom of the heart. The guys that are here, the guys who have participated. And we still going to do the men's panel on Monday. We were just in the wedding series. Maybe I'll pick a new, a new series that we can kind of dive into. But I really appreciate you guys, because I believe that there are people watching. There are people that have watched some of the episodes that really appreciate your value, that really appreciate your experience and your truth. So I definitely appreciate you. I'm going to get to the super chats that I saw. Where's my mouse? What you doing over here, mouse? Here we go. Not sure if Chef is still in the building. Sending a $20 super chat saying, I don't know what the topic is, but I know that my little bro Hank is cooking. So this $20 is a scholarship for someone else's tuition to Hank University. I know that's right. Somebody cue Poppin' Circumstance. All right, now we got What We Know podcast saying salute to my bearded brother. Thank you guys for showing love. Thank you to those who are in the chat chatting and sending back comments and just your input. But we're gonna get to the final thoughts for the evening. You guys are cooking tonight. I really appreciate you. We're gonna get to the final thoughts. We'll start with James. We'll work our way over. Go up to Mr. He said, and then end with King.
I appreciate everybody, man. But it was a great panel today. I like to say, like, hey guys, we got no excuses, right? So y'all want to say, y'all said we don't never see families on YouTube. We only see single people talking, right? Now you have married families on here talking and stuff. You have me and my wife, he said, she said. You got King and me, you know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? They spiritually, you know what I'm saying? They know what they got going on. So, you know what I mean? So it's a lot of different people, right? He probably gonna have his wife up here later, you know what I'm saying? So we'll see how that goes. So, man, but honestly, like it's a lot of different information, right? The only thing, if you want to learn anything, you got YouTube, you got a lot of different places that you can go to, guys. So spread the word, spread the message. We don't got to keep each other down, you know what I mean? We all can win, we all can eat, you know what I mean? Try to help each other out throughout your day, and you never know what opportunities might open up. You might be up right now, but you now means you're gonna be up for the rest of your life. So you need to have other people up there with you to help you to stay up. So just because you got a little win, don't look down on nobody. You know what I mean? Just keep it going, and we all win together. So that's all I want to say.
Thank you so much, James. We'll go over to our Payne.
Yeah, one of the things I think the fellas of today need to do, if you want to be married, the guys who want to be married, and the guys who want real relationships leading towards marriage, you got to stop saying that there's no marriageable women in America. Got to stop saying that. It's not true. It's just not true. It's like when you played that game, did you see the red cars or the green cars on the road and you didn't see any? And then all of a sudden, now that you're looking, you see them everywhere. I think that if your intention, like every man, but if your intention is when you meet a woman, you don't give a shit what she got to say, but you just want to smash her, you're not listening to what she's saying.
Mm.
You're not listening. You could be missing opportunities because every woman looks like a piece of steak. And at some point, you gotta, for me, and I only could go by, anecdotal kind of thing. When I was looking for my wife, I turned down just fooling around casually so I could clear my head. I don't know why I did it, but I did. So when I saw her, I recognized her. And I think that if every woman looks like a piece of steak to you, you're gonna miss it. The one that's telling you that if you can just do a little bit, I might be somebody who you can build with. But if you can't get past the fact that she ain't smashing you because that's what you want from her on day 1 or 2 or 3, I don't care what the day is, then you just stay out there. That's all. But I think some of the guys need to start to focus on what they want. And then maybe some of these women that you're thinking of don't exist might start to reveal themselves to you. You just got to be able to see it.
Mm.
That's what I think. And so let me just land it there.
All right. Thank you so much, our Payne. We'll go over to Hank. Your final thoughts, sir?
November is Men's Mental Health Month, man. So, man, just like, man, do what you got to do. Like, man, I need for you, brothers, to protect yourself at all times. Whether you got to get on somebody's couch or somebody's goddamn Zoom meeting, man, get your mental right. Get your A1C and your blood work in order. Go get your checkups. Take care of your business. And for men of my age and Brother Payne and some of those others of a certain age, go get your prostate and your colonoscopy check. That's very important, man. Colon cancer is a mother. Take care of your business. Do what you can to be on this work as long as you can so we can conquer this piece one day, man. In order to do that, I need you to be here healthy and ready to go. Thank you, Real Precious, for having me. I appreciate you and the series that you and Brother King did. Yeah, I'm sure it's very helpful to all the listeners out there. To everybody who tuned in, thanks for tuning in and continue to tune in. Sister Precious is a good content creator, so is Brother King. They are doing great things over here, and I appreciate them for having us.
Thank you. Thank you. Always appreciate you being here. Mr.
Yeah, I want to say thank you as well. I forgot. So thank you for having me up.
You're welcome. And I meant to say, Lady Di, praying for you. I know you're not feeling well, but thank you so much for being here still. I do appreciate that. And for Lady She Said, thank you so much for being on the panel tonight. Mr. He Said.
Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure, Press. Thank you for having me. Fellas, always a pleasure chopping it up with y'all. I respect and admire you guys immensely, man. Just giving your testimony, giving your experience, and being vulnerable enough to come up here and share with us. So always a learning experience for me. I think Till Death Do Us Part is a great aspiration. It's a great foundation to set, duty, honor, responsibility. All of those things that are intangible are very important, and that's what you build on. And hopefully we got two intelligent people that make a very, very positive union. So good luck to all of the young couples out there that's thinking about getting married and on the verge of being married. Bless your union. And it's always a pleasure being up here, Presh. I look forward to the next time, man. Fellas, peace. King, thank you for having me, sir. Always a pleasure.
Thank you, Mr. He Said. And then finally, last but not least, we have the co-host, the actual Kingston.
Ooh, I like this title, Until Death Do Us Part. I struggle with this one because the part that I left out earlier that I said I'm not going to speak on this is I think that a lot of ladies are slaves to their feelings. And it's difficult when you're a man that don't know how to give direction. Like I was at my younger, age. I didn't know how to succinctly state what needed to happen because I was trying to cater to someone's feelings.
Mm.
And I realized that was a mistake in my youth. So looking forward, it's more about understanding the direction that I have in my mind and being able to communicate that clearly to somebody. I was a little bit weird about doing these because it's more, leaning more towards marriage. And I've came out here and publicly said I'm not entirely too sure that King Smith is going to be going down the aisle again. But I like the perspectives of the people that, are making the choice to come on and do this, whether doing this on yours or co-streaming. And I thought that this was some very valuable information for people to chew on and add to their toolkit. So thank you.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome. But I need you, so you're gonna have to be here whether you like it or not. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But I appreciate you for being open. I mean, that's all it takes, right? That you really can't ask people to you can't force people to do anything. But when someone is willing and they're open, it opens the door for the other person to be willing and open, and then for you to then learn from each other. You may not adopt being married again. Who knows? Who knows what the future holds for you? But at least you're making yourself available. And we talked about this in the one-on-one and the Patreon. But at least you're making yourself available, right? You're giving your time. And we all know that you can't get time back. So you guys could everyone in the chat, everyone that's been on the panel could have been anywhere. You could have been doing anything, but you chose to be here. And that's a testament to how you value your time. I appreciate you for being here because you don't have to do this. You don't have to be here watching us have these conversations and chiming in, but you do. And so we as a content creators have to, cherish that and also see where people are taking strides and being open and being able to participate. So with this month being men's mental health, and I believe it was last year around this time when we started the men's panel because I remember it being about mental health. We were talking about David Mann and how
It
he was
was.
depressed and his wife noticed that some things were going on around him. So it looked like we probably gonna be selling about a year for this men's panel being a thing on the Real Precious. So again, I really appreciate you guys for showing up, showing out, being hot, honest, open, and transparent. Guys, definitely like the video. Share this with someone who may be interested. I have my Patreon linked at the top. I'm gonna be dropping a video on Wednesday. I'm gonna be doing exclusive content just for Patreon. So content you guys will not see on YouTube. You will not see it on Instagram. You may see a teaser or two, but it's me giving my real raw opinion about what I see in today's society and how, we gotta be real. Because a lot of people see this stuff online and they have these perceptions and perception is not always reality, but that's what we're taking it as. But we gotta be really real. So, I'm gonna be doing those videos in my Patreon. So you guys definitely sign up for that. And then, if you do want to be a part of the Patreon family, it's a hot community, honest, open, and transparent. Sometimes you have people in your corner that are willing to carry you to, the gate of beautiful, but they're not willing to help you out. They're not willing to hear you out. They're not willing to be open to what you're going through because they are seeing themselves so much and they can't, detach from themselves. I'm the kind of person that's like, "Hey, I'm not here to judge you. I'm here to help you. I'm giving my services of saying, I know what it's like. I know what it's like not to be the real me and to please other people because my needs aren't getting met. So I had to figure out how to do that in a respectful manner. And I think once we learn how to do that in a respectful manner, we can be more real with ourselves. So I offer that over on my Patreon. So definitely you guys go check that out. But I'm definitely going to drop a video on Wednesday about the Kiki Palmer case and what's going on with that. So if you guys want to see that exclusive content, it will be on the Patreon page. Again, you guys, I appreciate you. I can't say it enough. I really can't, because you don't see a lot of men give their time to a greater cause. And so if you want more of this, you have to continue to be the example of this. And you guys are doing it. You're putting in the work. I appreciate you. And I know others do appreciate you as well. But we're going to get out of here. And you guys know that I always end my show by saying you got to be real with yourself so you can be real with others. I'll see you guys next Monday night at 9 p.m. Eastern. Have a good night.